Welcome to the course Infographics with Open Data and Tableau. This unit is about stories. Stories are the most important feature of Tableau with respect to the infographics. What they are? We can open this infographics that is based on the data available on Tableau itself about the financial crisis of subprime mortgages. And we can offer a cover if we have a navigation that permits to the user to explore the analysis. In this case, we can see the GDP trend line for Europe, comparison with the Americas, the impact of GDP on the bound tourism in Europe, and the same in the Americas. You see that in the stories we have the possibility to put annotation, to have different views of the same analysis already recorded. So in this case, we have only Europe. In this case, with the same analysis, we have Europe and the Americas. And the same with the impact of GDP, in this case with Europe, in this other case with the Americas. So now our goal is to create a similar story, creating the two first analysis. To do this, open Tableau Desktop and select Word Indicators Saved Data Sources. Here we have the data collected for several years. Just clicking on years, you see which year are contained this data set from 2000 up to 2012. Now, what we want to do is to create this trend line. This trend line is based on the GDP and analyzed by region. So leave this analysis for time, select GDP in the data that are a sum of world indicators for all the countries in the world. Under development, we have GDP, so double click on GDP and apply the trend line. We want to distinguish the growth of GDP for the several regions. So click on region, right click, show filter, and we have here the possibility to select all the countries. But indeed, we want to see different lines for each region. To do this, put region on color. So we have different lines for each region. Now select just Europe, or better, select all the region and then click one of these in order to change the color. Select the Tableau Classic palette and select blue for Europe, brown for the Americas, light blue for Oceania, green for Middle East, and yellow for Asia. And call the sheet trend of GDP. Now select only the Europe. So we have this line. This descending in the curve is caused by the crisis of subprime mortgages started in the USA and then spread all over the Europe. So the crisis started in 208, but the final effect is the year after, in 2009. Now that we have created this first analysis, we want to create a story. To create a story, go to the bottom of Tableau and select a new story. Click on it. We have a sort of dashboard in which we have all the analysis here and the possibility to add the analysis on the white sheet, with the difference that we have a caption that are the points to access a new analysis. You can select sites. In this case, we select sites blog embedded. That is good to embed in a blog. And then we can drag this analysis here. This is our first story, just to show you how the story works. To change the title, just double-click on caption, write a text. This is the title of the story. And then we can duplicate this story in order to show even the Europe. So duplicate this story point, and we can add the Americas too, in order to see the difference. Go back to the first page. You see that the second page was updated, just to let's see these characteristics, changing the analysis. When you move in another point, Tableau signals that the analysis is updated. So go back here, click on this point, and right-click in order to select annotate point, and we can write something like the effect of the crisis start here. So we have this point with the element that the number of the year that arrived directly from the data, and the note we put into the same element. We can remove this point. To remove a point, you just click on delete, duplicate again this analysis, add the Americas, and then use this other point in order to show an interesting thing. So right-click on the point, annotate point, and write the Americas. Raised the GDP over the Europe after the crisis. This annotation permits to the user to understand what we want to communicate to him or to her. Okay, then we can go over and analyze other things. For instance, we can create another analysis, selecting the year, going to analyze the inbound tourism, selecting this, dividing the line by region, putting a filter on region, selecting just the Europe for our example. And this is the tourism inbound. And now we want to add the GDP. When we have a lot of variables, perhaps it can be useful, go to the search and write the name of the variable. Now we want to add the GDP to this chart, then drag the GDP here, but we have two different lines. So go back and put GDP on this other part in order to have two different measures of GDP and tourism inbound with two reference lines. And we can choose a different color for the tourism. For instance, we select this orange. So it's quite evident that the line of the GDP and the line of the tourism inbound, that is the tourism that arrive outside the Europe, is strongly related. So we can go to our story, put the story on the begin, create another new story point, blank, and go to this analysis, give a name to the analysis, GDP and tourism inbound. Go to the story and put this other analysis. This is not quite good because if you see there is too much space for the filters and so on. So we want to try another strategy. Now we create a dashboard, put the analysis that we created here. Then we can transform this filter in a single value, a multiple value drop down, and put this filter on the top on the analysis and put the legend here. We can give a little bit more space here. Eventually we can start not from the zero on both the axis, so we are more evident analysis. And as a size, we can choose a not fixed size but automatic. Automatic in this case is limited by the size of the story. So move the dashboard here, and you see that there is more space for the chart. So we can put a title, relations between GDP and tourism inbound in Europe. Then we can duplicate this and write and in the Americas. To add the Americas, just click on the filter, add the Americas. Go back to the worksheet, extend the legend space. So in this case, we have all the variables, GDP and tourism bound. This is the GDP for the Americas, and this is the GDP for Europe, and this is the tourism. Go back here. And so we concluded our story. If we want to put a cover, just add another point, a black point, put the blank point to the beginning of the story. Okay. Now create another dashboard, put an image, select an image. I choose an image got from the web, but you should be sure that you have the right to use the image. And I put even a text, subprime mortgages crisis, centered, bold, and with a dimension. That's okay. Size will be automatic. Go back to the story and put this other dashboard here. Give more space to the string in order to have even a cover. subprime mortgages crisis in. Okay, we can hide the title. And so we have concluded our analysis. Now we can publish this analysis onto the web. That is the subject of the next unit. Thank you.